until the 50s. We have the tournament in his honor, which is an outstanding tournament. And I think he's an icon that will go on in the memory of this club for a long time. This was an occasion where we made Julius Boris an honorary member. He arranged 2 exhibitions for us. That was one of them. The man on his right is Dick Crawford. His name is Dick Crawford. And Bill Moffat, Gifford Nutt Brown, Henry Wheeler, the president, and myself and Peter Griggs. We arranged the exhibition with Julius and Crawford, and whoever won the club championship got to play in it, and that was Bill Moffat. And then it was a great day. Now, for our historic members, you can't see Georgiana Bishop in the middle. This is a picture of her medals as they were presented to Brookline. She was too old at the time to participate in this, but they did get her medals together. She was a national women's amateur champion in 1905. She won 3 national senior titles, and she was a runner-up. So, well, in those days, it was so unusual for women. She was our only female national champion. I did get introduced to her. I did know her. She was just a very quiet-spoken, lovely person. I saw her on the course. She had a little strap. She would have 3, 4, maybe 5 clubs inside the strap. Then she'd loosen the strap and go on. She was by herself in her later years. I never got to play with her, but it's unbelievable that I know these people who meant so much and had so many years. Eleanor Raycroft is the same age as the club, and she won 25 club championships and whatnot. Now, talking about our champions, Parker Seeley won the state amateur 3 times, and something like 12 club championships, and a number of other titles. Dominated golf here and into the 20s. In the middle is a picture of on the left, Paul Havlin. He would have dominated golf here going into the 30s. Unfortunately, he died of a burst appendix when he was only 25 years old in 1930. He'd already won the state amateur and the New England amateur, and there he was a runner-up in the Crump Invitation at Pine Valley, beaten by Francis Ouimet, which was no disgrace. He would have been one of our greatest if he lived. That's his picture on the left as well. Go ahead. Now, Alfie is the next person who dominated golf here. Most all of you, I think, many of you knew Alfie. I can talk all night about Alfie. A friend of mine called him the only true eccentric. He was a very good golfer. He was one of the best putters I've ever watched as an amateur. He was like Tiger Woods. He always holds that crucial putt. And he won 2 state amateur titles, which is quite an accomplishment. 4 Bridgewater District. And his greatest, I think, achievement was as a quarterfinalist in the U.S. Amateur at Baltusrol. He was playing Smiley Quick, who eventually won the tournament. He was 2 down and 2 to go, and he held 2 giant putts in the last 2 holes to go even. And Smiley Quick hit his drive on the first extra hole hooked it. There was a post and rail fence there, and his drive hit one of the rails. It kicked back inbounds, and he went on to get a birdie and win the match. And the next match was a pushover, and Alfie was if he won that, would have sure been in the finals of the amateur. It was quite an accomplishment. Billy Boo came along in the late 40s, early 50s, and he was a finalist in the state amateur, and he won the club championship. He was, many of you know, he was a place kicker at Yale and set some records there. He played in the national amateur in the 50s and got to the semifinals down in Virginia. Played Harvey Ward, and you know Harvey Ward was one of the 2 people in the match. You've gotten that book. he and Ken Venturi played Hogan and Nelson. And Billy played a very tight match with Harvey Ward. I think he lost in the 35th hole. It was quite an accomplishment, and it got Billy to turn pro. He went in to try the tour, and that was the end of it. We never heard this from him. We lost a rival in the club championship. Okay. Well, there's Alfie and his father, and there's Alfie and myself. I think, I don't know, I hate those hats, but that may have been 1956, the final of the state amateur, but I didn't know you were going to play that. But go ahead. Back to the old clubhouse. I concentrated on our championship players. I mentioned Elmer Raycroft, our second lady champion in 25 club championships. Our latest winner of a championship title is Bill Dover, who's won the state senior 2 years ago. I've concentrated on those who have won championships, and that doesn't mean that we haven't had a lot of very accomplished golfers here. I could start mentioning here, but we got today, I mean, I could think of John Lewis, and John Hanford, and Bruno, and now we got some really good young players coming along with Murphys, the whole clan of the Murphys. Kevin, but John is out in the college ranks. He can already drive the 16th green here. And Brian was second low qualifier in the state amateur this year and lost to the eventual winner to a birdie on the first extra hole. And young Dan Murphy is already shooting the 60s. And with the numbers we've had in our juniors program, I'm sure we're going to have more champions. But I made a calculation through our history, and this is male and female. We've had one national amateur champion, 4 national senior champions, 2 national intercollegiate champions. One of them was, I've forgotten, they were way back. 15 state amateur champions, 10 others have been runners-up or medalists in the state amateur, 2 state seniors, 4 state junior champions, 1 New England champion, 7 Bridgeport district champions, and then 4 other regional events. I mention that because it's part of our history. And as I say, I don't knock the competitors who are winning club championships and are very competitive, but they haven't made that breakthrough to win an outside championship. I wanted to mention this particularly because Golf World magazine recently ranked golf clubs in the United States. They use a number of factors: prestige, the golf course, the clubhouse, and caddies, and everything. And there was, in the first 50, there was 1 Connecticut course. It was not Brooklawn. I think they made a mistake. I think that Brooklawn deserves to have been in that ranking. And when you think about it, you think about our history, the lore that we've got with Gene Sarazen and his medals, with Julius Boris and his connection, with our honorary members, with the champions we've had, with the 3 national championships we've held here, the juniors and the girls and the senior opens. You look at our clubhouse, through the implementation committees and the hardworking guys, it's been brought up to date. It's structurally sound. To me, it sparkles. It's a beautiful old New England clubhouse, and there just aren't many like it. Most of them are burned down or been torn down. We've got facilities here that you can't match anywhere. 6 wonderful tennis courts, and that tennis pavilion is great. We had a wonderful cocktail party out there last year, but it's good for tennis too. Tillinghast Golf Course. To me, it's a perfect course to play for us weekend players. It's always a challenge, but it's not a backbreaker. It may not be long enough to ever have another tour event or another national championship, but it still is a challenge. And I think with today, it's better than it's ever been. I think Ron Forrest did a wonderful job. There's different than when I started out, and I meant to say this, that I was very lucky that my family moved into Brooklawn Park here when I was 1 year old, and when I was old enough, I could walk up here and start playing. And I have a dim recollection of the old first hole and the second hole, not much else. And then, of course, I remember some of the things that after Tillinghast, there were pot bunkers along some of the fairways. They're all gone. The bunkers have been refigured. The big difference between when I was growing up and playing here and today are, one, the trees, and two, the bunkers. When I was playing, if your ball didn't stay on the green, it rolled into the bunker. It never stopped on the bank. And of course, they're contoured differently. And trees, for example, number 16 was a tremendous high bunker at the corner. That's gone. The trees have grown up there, have done it, and the new bunkers have done it. To me, it's a much harder hole, but those are changes. But anyway, I'm very proud of this club. I've been here off and on most of my life, and I think it's better than ever, and I think we deserve a very high ranking from Golf World. So that's all I have to say. Is too much.
Peter, are you coming up too? There he is. That was terrific. By the way, Art also, besides being a terrific speaker, just broke his age by 8 shots. So eat your heart out. Okay. We'll start with a couple of questions, and there's no point in avoiding controversy. So I'm going to ask everyone on the panel first. What's the ideal green speed for Brooklawn greens? And no conferencing. Ron?
4.2.
We'll come back to you.
Green speed?
Green speed.
I would, in all seriousness, I would urge sanity and moderation. You know, I don't think these 11s, I don't know what you're doing. I really don't. I don't ask. I putted in many of the greens today, and they're real interesting. But with these kinds of contours and the turf grooming practices, they're basically linoleum equivalents, then I would just urge moderation. I think I wouldn't go any faster than they are now. What are you going to say?
Over the years, they're never fast enough. Doesn't matter what they are, but the ideal speed to capture true nature of the golf course is about 8, 6 to 9, because then we can play the hills. Right now, the greens are so fast, everything comes into the centers of the greens. So you lose a lot of flavor of playing big 5-foot breaking putts that gather around the hole that you would normally get. That's me. We'll keep going at 10-6.
Can I say something? You're right. In 2004 on the PGA Tour, the the average green speed was 10.4. It was not the 11s and 12s that people think. That was on the tour, 10.4. So, you know, if you want to extract back from that a little bit for everyday play, that's a good way to go. But the higher the speed, the fewer the cupping areas you'll be able to use out there. And also, the shorter the grass, the less able that grass is to withstand the amount of play that it's getting. It's a double whammy. It hurts it all the more. So the greens are much more interesting strategically, play-wise, if you can use more areas on your greens to cup instead of having to keep everything at the bottom, as Peter said. So we like to see as much as possible, as many areas used on these greens as you can.
Like I can add anything to those two guys. But, you know, we all play places where the greens are really fast. We said, how come our greens can't be that fast too? Well, if you do that, we can have one cup position on every green, and that's it. If you want to move the pins around, you can't be 12-5. It just doesn't work. We have so much slope that the ball will just break too much. So you have to keep it a little bit within reason, 9, 9.5, something like that, to be able to move the cups around all over the greens.
Artie, how have they been over the years?
So not as fast as they are now. But you know, our greens go from the back to the front. They slope to the front. And you take 8 and 13 and 16, it gets very unfair. And I think they're too fast for the way they are, particularly when that pin is toward the front, that you can't hold the ball on the green. But right now, the other greens are fine, like 2, 9 or 10 is where they're a little flatter. But I think they've got to slow them down on those steep hills. Johnny Walsh always told me, don't go over the greens at Brooklawn, always be short of the hole.
I'm not going to comment directly yet on this, but I do want to say that I went today to pick out the Pro Shop carpet with Vicki Wilczynski and Kate Pengue. And I brought my stimp meter, and the carpet in the Pro Shop will be 13 on the stimp meter.
Ron, let's talk about trees for a minute. We've gone through periods in the history of Brooklawn where we planted a lot of trees and then we took trees out. What's a good tree, what's a bad tree?
Bad tree is one that's in your way. And on the serious side, a bad tree is an unsafe tree. Trees are a liability to a golf course. Roots, like a guest can hit a root with a club and injure his hand. Tree branches can fall. They're liability in the sense of economic liability. They make maintenance harder. You have to mow around them. It costs money to put trees in, to mow around them, to take care of them. Some of them have to be cleaned up a lot, like the sweet gums on 6th, all those little harbor mine seeds that fall down. You got to clean all that up. So trees should not be used to make the course difficult. They should be used. We live in a treed landscape. We don't live on the coast of Scotland. And this isn't the National Golf Links. And even Oakmont, which their tree program only passed 51 to 49%, they went back to 1949 to the authentic golf course. Most places will never do that, nor should they, because of safety. These parallel holes, you need some trees out there. I think the program that's been going on here, as far as what's a good tree, you've eliminated some of the bad trees and the good trees are remaining. There's more work to be done, as always, the trees age. But you've got to keep safety in mind. That's for good trees, and you've got to keep it playable. There's a tree just short left of the 8th green. That's a bad tree. If you're over there near that tree, you've got a whale of a recovery shot anyway. These greens are more than enough difficulty. You don't need any trees sideways on any of these greens or anywhere near a green. The trouble's built in. So that's a bad tree, that one on 8. You need the trees on 16 on the corner. Those are good. So you're in a good, as long as you don't block recovery shots. But then they grow too.
Let me ask you a specific question to you and Peter Bly. I had some friends from Long Island Golf Association here. They love the golf course. They got to the 15th tee and without hesitation said, those 2 trees have to go. Agree?
I would say that, yeah, they probably need to go.
Only 15.
Artie has some,
The two sycamores in front, and maybe not both of them, but at least one of them,
Yeah, at least.
to open it up, because we lose the whole right side of the 15th green. You can't use it, you have to move the tee box in order to get access to the green. The right-hand sycamore, if it's removed, would open up the right-hand side of the green for a lot better use of the hole. But, you know, we're constantly barbering these trees back, and the minute you start having to do that to a tree, it becomes a weed. So, you know, we're maintaining it because it's sentimental to the club. But personally, I'd go down, if you said take it down today, I'd be gone tomorrow morning to the game.
how do you feel about that?
Trees are just like the bunkers. We've had golf chairmen who say, look, we need a tree on the right side of the 9th green to protect the green. We need a sand bunker in front of 8. We need a sand bunker in front of 5, a sand bunker in front of 9. And greens chairmen have had a huge impact on the things we have on this course. And luckily, when Ernie DeLucia was golf chairman, he said, look, this is stupid that the golf chairman or the committees have so much impact on the course. We should hire somebody to come in and advise us on all the things that we do. And we're lucky enough to get Ron Force involved, who's been able to advise us on let's take down those trees, let's take out that bunker. And I think that was one of the best things we ever did, was to get the advice of somebody like Ron to help us with a master plan going forward. So trees, bunkers, and other things like that can be controlled in a more intelligent fashion than we used to do in the past.
Art, what's your perspective on trees?
Well, I think there are pros and cons. I'm a New Englander, and I love trees. And you know, this course in the next 2 or 3 weeks is going to have a lot of color. The color we get on the 4th fairway, both sides, is going to be, if it's a good year, it will be astounding. And we get beautiful trees down at 8 and 9. We don't want to lose that. I agree that some have to go, like at 16, that was a good thing because of those maples with their shallow roots. But I think we should be careful about removing the trees, like those 2 sycamores on 15. I mean, I am an exponent of guardian trees. I think it's an integral part of the golf course to have a tree that guards one side, like our old signature elm on 16. But trees can be trimmed successfully, and they have been. However, I will defer to the experts, but that's my view.
Ron, before we open up for questions, one of the things that Tillinghast was known for was that he designed not only for the competitive golf, but he was, Frank Hannigan says he was the first one to design for the beauty of a golf course, and he even made it an art form. When you are doing a restoration, how do you take that into consideration? Do you take it into consideration? Do you look at a golf course differently because of Tillinghast's approach like that, different than, say, Ross or Rayner?
We always tried to be very authentic with the design intent of the original architect. One of our key phrases in our practice is restoring design intent, and that's a very loaded phrase. I mean, it means you don't just restore exactly in every case what was there, but the intent. In Tillinghast's case, you know, in his book you can see he loved, in of course Beautiful and other publications, he would use trees as a hazard sometimes. And he had a good phrase, give the man enough rope to hang himself. And so he might swing a fairway out wide on the outside of a dog leg and have some trees intrude on that if you stray too far to that side. So in Tillinghast's case, we like to use those. Ross, not so much. The course I grew up on in Jersey had a huge oak in the corner of a dog leg, and Ross used it in his 1929 plans. But we like to stick with what's authentic. If it works with that architect, you know, if you go to C.B. Macdonald, if you're working on a C.B. Macdonald course, you might as well tear the tree down because he had basically no use for them. So it depends on course to course. With Tillinghast, that's a good observation. He really did work on the beauty. There's a course in Philadelphia that used to host the Belmont Atlantic, Chester Valley, and I have a golf cap from them, and they embroidered on the back tree killer. Because there was an old, some PhD from New Hampshire, I forgot, it was Doc Sidlin, I think his name is, and he kept calling me that. And one guy said he was going to turn down the entire mastermind if he cut a sycamore tree. It was hanging over the 11th hole, and you couldn't avoid the thing. So we eventually got the tree down and put a ditch in on the other side as a hazard. So maybe that's illustration that helps answer your question. I don't know, but it is important in our treed America, you know, to where most of the courses are treed, they're going to have trees that you do take into account.
What the architects.
I take into account the trees and good trees, yeah. And again, we have to have trees in the U.S. You know, you can't have people, golf balls are going so far and therefore so far offline, trees are getting carried that didn't used to get carried, and you need those. You know, the golf balls are going so far, we have to have trees.
Ron, one last question, and I'd love to hear Art and